Hello, everyone. Today we are diving into some of the biggest corporate fraud cases making the headlines in late February 2025. I'm joined by my colleague, Benny, from our sales team. Benny, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, James. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to joining you on this. I saw the last one. I was jealous you didn't
Well,
bring the first one.
yeah, I feel like the shackles are off when it comes to talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. Elon and Doge and all this sort of stuff. Suddenly we can come out and talk about it, and I'm enjoying it. It might be a bit sensationalist, but hell. And we've got three great stories to talk about today. We're going to talk about the notorious 30 under 30 honoree who is facing some jail time, possibly, or at least in court. We're going to talk about how Macy's managed to inflate their income by 151 million. And we're going to wrap it up by talking about how an investment company got in trouble with the regulator and landed a huge fine, over 250 million. So yeah, let's get started. Are you ready to talk about some of these, Benny?
Yeah, these are some juicy finds. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, wow.
I know, it's insane. So the first one is now this 30 under 30 honoree list. It's a magazine edition that Forbes bring out, I think, every year with young founders who are exceptional, but it's become a bit of a meme for 30 under 30 fraudsters because many of the people on that list have ended up in hot water. And the one we're talking about today is Charlie Javis. She was an honoree and she allegedly fabricated user data to inflate the value of her startup, which was called Frank, leading to a $175 million acquisition by JP Morgan Chase. But now the punishment for inflating those figures is she's facing criminal charges, and her trial is this week shedding light on some of the pressures and ethical lapses that led to this instance in her business. Yeah, Benny, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, actually, I saw that article yesterday evening and I was just reading a little bit about it. And it turns out basically the way she did it, or the way it's alleged it's been done, is she had about 4 point something million users. And what JP Morgan found value in was potentially being able to sell to those students as they grow up, and they can sell the financial resources to these guys and have them as long-term clients. So that's why they found value in the product in the first place. But when they investigated this, or when they decided to actually broadcast this like emails to these individuals, they realized actually they got very few responses. So they investigated a bit deeper and realized only out of the 4 point something million, it's only 300,000 people were actually legit students and legit individuals they could actually speak to. And out of that, even fewer were responding back. So they realized, wait a minute, how did we make such a big error? But by now it's already too late, because when I was looking at it, they actually hired this lady and she was installed as JP Morgan's head of student solution. And she was getting paid 300K annually. And she pocketed 21 million in stock proceed. And like she has a retention after 5 years, she'll get another 20 million bonus. So turns out that 20 million bonus, she's not gotten that. Definitely she's not gotten that, because before they were about to pay her that, they did this broadcast. And that's when they realized, wait a minute, this is not really valuable. I looked online before the call as well, and I realized, wait a minute, they've actually cancelled this thing called Frank as well. So it just turns out it's literally gone nowhere. They've not been able to do anything with it. I'm guessing that 21 million in stock proceeds is gone, and the 300K for the last 4.5 years is also gone. I guess the real winner is the lady, really. No one else.
Yeah, so it sounds like the 170 million headline figure, actually Chase didn't get hit for that. Sounds like they structured the deal in a way that they were paying this later in stock options. And to be honest, in the US at a level like that, 300K a year is probably the going rate for a senior executive. So at the end of the day, I know many of the people I speak with in the CFO world are fans of Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. So sounds like Jamie was smart in his deal here. But I wonder, she must have known. What was she thinking? She was thinking, I'm going to go, hopefully no one will figure this out for 5 years. Like she was just crossing her fingers, or I guess.
I was thinking that as well. I was thinking because when I looked in the article, it said something like, oh, she was speaking to her team and said, oh, we need more users. We need more email users. And she asked, this is not fraud, is it? And someone responded back to them saying, oh, no, this is not fraud. So they're still trying to get the court to enable them to get access to those WhatsApp encrypted conversations so they can use that to fight the case in court. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But yeah, I think this is just me thinking. I think she was trying to be smart. Stay there for 5 years, gain that experience, get my 21 million in stock proceeds, 5 years later, get another 20 million, and I'm out. Before the time came, she got caught out. I still think she's still pretty brilliant. I mean, the idea behind it was good. And if these were legitimate students, you'd think, yeah, this is actually a great product. But the fact that it's only 300K worth of actual real people using the system out of the 4.8 million that it's estimated to have been on the system, it's a far cry from the truth. So,
well, Silicon Valley is notorious for this sort of fake it till you make it sort of attitude. Steve Jobs, I think, was exemplified that. And of course, another honoree of the Forbes 30 under 30, Elizabeth Holmes, is notorious when she started her startup, Theranos. Again, huge fraud, basically claiming something that wasn't there. And there you go. It's high stakes. Let's look at the next one now. This is $151 million accounting scandal at Macy's. What was the blunder? The blunder was a single employee at Macy's manipulated the financial records, inflating the company's books by a staggering $151 million. Once it was discovered, then this triggered a sharp decline in Macy's stock and raised major concerns about the internal controls in corporate finance. Benny, this one is shocking. How does a company as big as Macy's let this slip through?
I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, don't they have audit trails to see who's done what, when, and why? I say that because in our system, in Procurement Express, every single thing you do is audited. Literally, if you go and change a price, there's a record of it there, right there. So if it stops you from thinking about messing things up, and if you have to make changes, it's a legitimate change. So for a company of that size, missing that out and then allowing that to affect their stock value, it's plummeted by about 10% after this was revised. So it's a big drop. And I'm sure people who normally have these stocks or these shares in the company, they're thinking, I've lost so much value because someone made one mistake, which could have been very easily avoided. Plus, on top of that, you have to think about the fines, the value of the fine that they have to pay. This is a serious, painful decline, I have to say. Yeah.
Classic four eyes problem. There should never be in a situation. The system should never have been set up in a way where a single employee could have made that mistake. There should have been always oversight, a second step of approval, at least oversight. So yeah, maybe we'll give them a call, get them a Procurement Express account, and we'll give them a discount on that 151 million.
I would love to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we'll take care of that for you. Check out the audit trail. It covers you. You need to do a report. Just run this report. You got yourself covered. I'd love to do that for them.
No better man to do that. Maybe you can take over then for the last story we have here today, Benny.
Yeah. This is actually a big one. This one is really big, actually, because it's the biggest fine. It's a $250 million fine for H2O Asset Management organization. So I'm thinking about how could they make such a big blunder to get fined? So what's the blunder? The blunder is that H2O Asset Management faced regulatory action after the FCA investigation revealed several financial mismanagement, including investment illiquid security. So I'm thinking about them like, how? What happened? So this is what the punishment is. The punishment is the firm is getting fined $250 million after being found guilty of misleading regulators, failing due diligence, and breaching transparency rules. I'm thinking about it, and it's just highlighting the need for stricter oversights in asset management companies. But I'm trying to think about it personally, but also, what do you think of this? This seems, were they falsifying documents? What were they doing?
This is where you have money. The finance world it's been rife with scandals throughout the ages. We've all heard about in the 20s, the stock market crash and all sorts of scams that were happening. Actually, there's a very good podcaster, Patrick Boyle. You can Google him on YouTube, and he goes through the history of financial scandals, and he does a great job of explaining the likes of Ponzi and all these guys who were making out during the days. And the regulation is really one of these things that has been a problem, because let's face it, a lot of these products are products and they're getting sold hard. But then when the money is handed over, the controls around actually using the money for the purpose they were intended, which is effectively what's gone wrong here. So they sold one thing and they did another thing. So now we got the money, we're going to invest, make a different type of investment, which make it hard for the investors to get their cash back out. They didn't have the required levels of liquidity in order to answer a call that our investors would make at any time. That was where they went wrong, and that's why they're getting punished now. Yeah, it's a classic case of, we got the money now, let's not worry about it too much, and the controls just weren't in place. Very, very common. I've applied for grants in the past from government, startup grants and different things, you know. So your mindset when you're applying for the grant and then when you got the grant or you got the money or whatever can change very quickly. Suddenly you change. Ask the Chilean government about the grants they gave me. I didn't exactly use them the way they expected. But yeah, I think that's what happened here. It's another case and they happen every week. I'm sure next week we'll have another fund going through similar problems.
Yeah, I'm also thinking as well, the fine is pretty hefty. So I'm guessing like the regulators are not very happy with this. They're hitting them with a massive fine. So maybe they're using them as an example for other people to see, hey, listen, if you mess with us, the fine's not a small one.
In truth, that's what they do. They come down hard on a couple of people. That's when you don't have enough cops, basically, people in oversight. What you do is when you find someone, you hammer them to make sure everyone gets the message. So, yeah, okay. So it's been a busy week. These cases show just how costly financial mismanagement and fraud can be, both for the companies involved and the wider economy. We'll be watching these stories closely as they unfold. And yeah, this has been a good one, Benny. Maybe we'll do it again next week, see what else has happened out there.
Nice one. Thanks for having me. It was good to be on this one. Cheers.